All right. Okay, I'm back at my computer, y'all. So this is Ground Zero, Florida. It used to be our flagship show that took over from our former flagship show. You can't make this shit up. However, with the success of From the Margins with Jimmy Afant doing so well, that has pretty much become the flagship show. And now that we have the Fernandez legacy, excuse me, that is with Orange County Commissioner, former Orange County Commissioner Mildred Fernandez, a monthly show that may be in the running too for maybe our flagship show. But anyway, it's good to be back. It has been a while. And there's so much that has been going on, whether it's, campaigns, the T8020. Yes, the T8020 token and community is going strong. We're meeting tomorrow, which would be the middle of October, literally, to discuss some events that we are planning, the marketing and branding of the T8020. So that's going on. And of course, the political stuff, which includes our podcast network on the Jane Washington Network. And that was a sigh of relief because there's just so much going on at the federal level. We're in the midst of it's 12, 14, 15 day as far as this recording of a federal lockout. I've kind of talked to that a little bit in a recent broadcast of the David Washington show about the Democrats. But you can listen into that. This is Ground Zero, Florida. Let's get to it. And I'm going to like this one. I hope that you all like this one too. So let's forget about the picket signs. The new front line of activism in Florida is the permit application line. Yes, the permit application line. We're jumping into how environmental advocates pulled off a masterful act of bureaucratic jujitsu, using the state's own system to effectively shut down the controversial bear hunt from the inside. Is this the future of protest? You're damn right it is. I love it. I tip my hat to Speak Up Wakaiva, particularly Chuck O'Neill, to a lesser extent, the Sierra Club. Great job. And I say that because Chuck is known, and again, if I'm misattributing this particular act to Chuck O'Neill, I apologize. However, this does, it does look like it's from the Chuck O'Neill playbook. What occurred was just fascinating. The Florida Wildlife Commission, FWC, reinstituted the black bear hunt here in Florida. And so with X number, a very small number, 172, is that right? A small number of permits were allowed for this year's bear hunt. And there was a lottery because, hunters want to hunt. And so you can't just go in and buy all the permits. So there's a lottery for these permits. If I understand correctly, over 147,000. I gotta get my math right because these numbers are sticking inside my brain for a reason. But at least over 100,000 lottery tickets were issued for less than 200 available permits to hunt bears. And guess who bought the vast majority of these lottery tickets? Advocates in support of no bear hunt. Advocates who support Speak Up Wakaiva, advocates who support the Sierra Club. And I'm just like a stroke of genius. I tip my hat to both organizations and all the many people who are participating in this. So this is the kind of out of the box thinking and into the pocket book thinking that has to occur. And this type of activism harkens back to my days when I was in my late teens, early 20s in Chicago, doing my advocacy activism work. And this was phenomenal what occurred here in Florida. Instead of the picket signs and the letter writing and showing up the meetings to protest or vote or jam up the bureaucracy, you let your money do the talking. And so there's the likelihood, as reported by some people who won the lottery and have a permit, they're going to sit on it. And odds are the vast majority of the permits, people are going to sit on it. And there are many reasons why these activists did this. First of all, and I think foremost, is that they believe that the process for having the bear hunt is not yet complete, meaning the scientific proof that there's a need for a bear hunt is just not there yet. So by going into their wallets, going into their purses, these advocates are saying, we're going to do something better. Granted, they make the Florida Wildlife Commission stronger by paying for the lottery tickets, a lot of them. That will increase the coffers for, Florida government, and those funds will be applied towards the operations of the Florida Wildlife Commission and hopefully for the protection of wildlife here in Florida. So that's a win. If in fact the permit money fee is applied towards environmental issues per the issues that these advocates are advocating for. So that's a plus. Second, it prevents a bear hunt that these advocates believe is not necessary. I'm not a hunter. Am I aware of the bear hunts? Yes, I am. Very familiar with the advocacy behind no bear hunt. So I'm very interested in just the tactics that was used. These activists have a new playbook. They're legally acquiring hundreds of hunting permits with no intention to hunt, creating a permit blockade to save the bears. It's a strategic takedown from within the system. I applaud this effort as being brilliant. Maybe it is rule breaking or rule bending. Let me clarify that. Rule bending. However, you've got to use every tactic that is legal and safe in your utility belt to strengthen your position, to get your point across, and in this case, save the bears. So this incident reveals a fascinating shift in activism, which many activists or party politicals, anyone who wants to make sure that their cause is heard, it reveals a fascinating shift in activism where strategic use of bureaucracy can be more powerful of a weapon than public demonstration. As a tool, I applaud the efforts of these advocates of the Sierra Club, of Speak Up Wakaiba, and of my friend Chuck O'Neill, if in fact he is the genius behind all of this, the brain trust. So, on that note, I just want to say that, and I don't think this is something that is going to happen locally, as the Board of Commissioners discussed earlier today in regards to it's October 14th, by the way, in regards to a discussion about protecting open spaces like the Orange County parks and forests, and essentially limiting hunting on private property. That was discussed, a proposal to discuss by Commissioner Kelly Simrad. I don't think it's going anywhere. Too many legal issues. However, I think based on the success of what occurred with the Florida Wildlife Commission, it was just another opportunity, sneaky one, of Commissioner Simrad and advocates to try to push more restrictions and regulation to what we can do with public and private property. That's just my say. Maybe I'm wrong. If I am, please, let's have that conversation. If I'm right, please, let's have that conversation, a very respectful and tactful conversation, by commenting. Let me know what you think. Bring your facts, okay? So that we can have an honest conversation, a tactful conversation. Keep the feelings out, because feelings really don't have a place except where they belong, and that's within our own hearts and minds. So please let me know what you think by commenting. Share this with those family members, those friends, those influencers in the wild that you think will benefit from this type of content, particularly those candidates and electeds who are trying to make decisions about our everyday lives in the halls of justice and the rooms of authority. So don't forget to please share, like, and all that good stuff. I really would appreciate it. And we'll see you next time. Ground Zero, Florida. I'm David Washington. God bless. I love you. See you the next time.